And welcome back to the weight room. Don't forget to subscribe, because I like to say at the beginning, because if you don't listen all the way through, I still want you to subscribe.
Absolutely.
Wherever you listen to this, subscribe.
But I strongly encourage you to listen to this podcast. It's a good one from start to finish.
We'll catch you on the other side, catch you on the flippity flip, and we'll start now.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
We appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me. I've never done a podcast before.
If you just want to kind of start off by telling us who you are and a little bit about you.
Yeah. So my name is Ana. I live in North Carolina. I'm actually originally from Chile in South America. I grew up there. I didn't move to the U.S. until I was 17. And I've lived all over the place. I lived in Texas, in New York, in Florida, and now in North Carolina, which I think is my favorite out of all the states that I've been to. It's just a really nice place to live. And I have 2 kids. I'm married, 2 kids, 5 and 2. And pretty much that's kind of what catapulted my fitness journey. Just having my babies. Like once I had my second son, I just felt like really lost as far as who I was as a person. You know, you give so much to your kids and then you forget that you're a person too. So I decided to hire a personal trainer, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I think a lot of women find themselves in that position of having kids, and then even if they did work out before, you know, they don't know how to make the time anymore because their kids are obviously your top priority at this point. So it's like, where do I find the time for me between kids and work and even just like caring for myself, like mentally?
Yeah, absolutely. And I work too. I'm a nurse. So I work as a nurse, and it definitely is a balance. It's hard to balance for sure.
You said you got into fitness from having kids. Were you ever?
So I was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like pretty fit before as far as like healthy living. Like I've always liked eating healthy, and I would go do cardio and like light weights. I really had no idea what to do, honestly. Like I realize that now that I was just kind of putzing around. I mean, I was healthy as far as like compared to a lot of people, I guess. But if I look at pictures of myself, I was just skinny. I didn't have any muscle. I didn't know any better. I was like one of those people that thought that if you lifted weights, you would like look manly, and, you know, I was very ignorant.
I think a lot of people fall into that category, like women and men, but specifically women fall into that, oh, I can only get on the treadmill or the Stairmaster and I don't belong in the weights, you know?
Yeah, or like intimidated maybe because you don't know what to do. Right. I didn't really have that issue. I've always been very outgoing. It was more just like I never really considered that was something that was for me for some reason. I just didn't think about it. I would take those like classes with weights, but of course it's like, you know, lifting like 20 pounds or, you know,
right,
just lightweight, thinking that I was like, you know, gonna make a difference.
You said you moved from Chile?
I did. So I grew up there in Chile, and my parents still live there. So my sister was living in Texas at the time. She had moved for college, and the opportunity was just there to do it. And I've always been very, very independent, and just one of those people that, like, if a door opens, I'm going to walk through it. And the door was open, and I walked through it. I was like, I'm just going to go. I finished high school really early. I was 16. I did my 2 last years of high school together. But my parents didn't feel comfortable with me leaving at 16. So they held me home for a year, which was just, you know, kind of putzing around. And then at 17, I moved here to Texas.
That's pretty crazy, really, to think that, you know, you're moving to a whole new country and basically by yourself in, you know, most aspects.
Yeah, I mean, and a year after I moved, my sister got married, and obviously I was like, well, I'm not going to live with a newlywed couple. Right. That's weird. So yeah, a year after she got married, I was like, I'm moving to Florida. So I moved to Florida by myself, and I met my husband there, actually. I was very young. We dated for 3 years, and I got married at I had just turned 22.
Cool.
Wow. So did you come with a plan, or did you just kind of oh, the door's open, I'm going to walk and we'll figure it out as we get there?
My only plan was to come to college, but I didn't even know what I was going to major in. I mean, I was going to community college. No idea what I wanted to do with my life. I still feel that way sometimes. I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? And I'm like, I'm getting a little old for that. But I kind of this, I would say last year of just focusing on getting healthy and really making my health and my mental health a priority. It's kind of opened the possibility of no, you can pretty much reinvent yourself at any time. If you have a passion, you can pursue it no matter how old you are. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. So. And I think that oh, what do I want to do when I get older is a great mindset to carry out throughout your life.
Forever.
You're always getting older. That's just the fact. So what are you going to do in your next stage that brings something more interesting into your life?
100%. And that's how I feel now. I'm okay, so what's next for me? Because I feel I've kind of gotten comfortable with where I am, and there's something about being comfortable that's not good for you.
It's uncomfortable.
Yes. And I'm starting to feel that itch of okay, what's next? What do I want to do next? And the fact that fitness has become such a huge part of my life, I'm I know it's going to be something with that. I just don't know what yet. Part of it is I'm just one of those people, once I set my mind to something, I'm just going to do it. So when my trainer, we had been together, I've been with her since July of last year. The original goal was just to get fit because I wanted to look good after having a baby. Once we met that goal, she kind of wrote me a message and was like, what's next? Here are your options. And one of the options was training for a bikini competition. And I read that and I knew immediately that that's what I wanted to do because it looked and sounded so hard. And I had seen pictures of those girls and what they go through and the prep and everything. And I was like, that's what I want to do because I want to prove to myself that I have what it takes, that I can do it. And so I'm just one of those people. I like a challenge, I guess. I like to feel like I'm doing something that's challenging me, mentally, physically, and this is doing all of that. For sure.
Would you say that your favorite part, if you had to choose, of competing, is it the being on stage or is it the lifting aspect and the training to get on stage?
So this is my first competition, so I honestly don't know because I step on stage November 7th.
That's so exciting.
So I will have to get back to you on that. Right now, I would say the lifting is just so fun for me. I really look forward to going to the gym. So most of my week, I spend the evening at work and I get home around midnight. And then I wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym because I have to be there for 2 hours to do cardio and lifting. And then I have to be home before my husband goes to work so that I can be with my kids. So it's definitely been a huge commitment to do it. It's cardio 6 days a week, lifting 5 days a week. But I enjoy it so much. I actually look forward to getting up early and going to do it. So, but I don't know. Maybe the stage is going to just feel amazing. I think it's just the icing on the cake, though. You're just here is everything that I did, right? And you show it off.
Right. I mean, that's everything you've worked for. And it's weird because, I mean, I don't compete, but I'm into watching them live and stuff like that. Yeah. I think it's so cool, the prep that goes into it. And it's all this prep that you've done, all this training, and it's just gone in the snap of a finger.
I know.
But it's just so cool how it pays off so quickly.
I feel it's kind of like a wedding, right? You're dating, you're engaged, you're planning every single detail. And then the wedding comes and it's oh, it's over. And that's it. And I think it's kind of like that. You do all this preparation and then the moment is gone in a second. But I think that's why people continue to compete, right? Because it's just kind of something that's continuous improvement. My coach and I already talked about it. It's my first show, so the package, that I'm bringing to stage is good, but the next show it would be even better because we are already like ahead, right? So each time that you come back like stronger, more muscle, better posing, everything. So
yeah, I think it's cool that sometimes sports like that aren't so linear, whereas team sports, it's not like from one year to the next you're just continuously getting better and better, but individualized sports, it's kind of cool to where you can get better from year to year, and you're not necessarily held back by other players, or especially like in individualized sports, like defense is there's no such thing. It's all about like what you can do and how hard you're gonna work and what you can put into it.
And I love that, like, because it's one of those things, you get what you put in. You really do. And I know, like, okay, so I'm doing MPC, which they don't test. So I know that there's some people who take performance-enhancing drugs, and obviously that gives you an advantage. You're going to look leaner or whatever. I don't do that. That's not something I'm ever going to be interested in doing. Like, it's all natural for me. But that doesn't matter to me because I feel like that's kind of part of the challenge, to just continuously improve and be the best version of yourself. And you really, really do get in what you put in, You do the work, you see the results. And It's just kind of like this really rewarding thing. Every time I take progress pictures for my coach, I'm like, this is the result of all my hard work, It's really awesome.
Right.
What do you think about the nutrition side of it? Is it something you enjoy? Is it something you're kind of just like getting through?
So I'm still very fortunate that I'm still at fairly high calories. I'm 4.5 weeks out. And so when we did my bulk, I think I got up to almost 2,600 calories that I was eating a day. And now I'm to 1,800, which might sound like a lot to some people, but I'm lifting 5 days a week and doing 6 days of cardio. And one day, I think most of my days I burn anywhere between like 700 to 1,000 calories. And that's just at the gym. That's not even like what you burn just living, right?
And especially as a nurse.
Calories 1,800 calories is not a lot at all. But I've been fortunate that we've decreased it slowly enough. I don't really feel like I haven't felt super deprived yet. I know it's coming, but yet it's still okay. I'm surviving it okay. Some days I'm a little bit hungrier than others, but I kind of have the mindset that it is what it is, and it's one of those things, like food is like straight fuel at this point. I have to view it that way. It's not really, food's always been like a pleasurable experience to me, but I can't really view it that way right now.
Yeah, it's almost like another set or rep you have to do to achieve the goal you want.
Yeah, you literally just have to view food as a means to an end at this point. Like, it's fueling my workouts, and it's allowing me to get the spreads that I need for the show.
Right.
I know, like, some of the people I follow, like, when they get into the super, like, small calories that they're eating, like, right before the show, like, they always just talk about like, after the stage, like, the meal they're going to have after that. Do you look forward to that? Have you thought about that at all?
I haven't, but I do have refeeds once in a while that my coach will give me. So basically, she'll tell me you can eat like this many more calories or fat or protein on top. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, so my go-to cheat meals are pizza. I love pizza. Chocolate cake. I could just I don't even need a meal. Just give me a giant slice of chocolate cake and I am a happy girl, with like that super rich fudge icing, like not just like any chocolate cake.
Like full on chocolate.
Yeah, like chocolate on chocolate on chocolate. Like that's what I need in my life. And then burgers, like cheeseburgers, like something really greasy. Like not a veggie burger, like a really juicy, greasy burger. Like that's the thing. You need fat. Okay, so like fat is what makes things taste good. So
absolutely.
You can't obviously when you're eating healthy, you have to stay away from a lot of fat. But if you're cheating, you need that fat. The fat is good.
Very, very true.
What would you say your favorite part of training is? Do you prefer the cardio? Do you prefer the weightlifting? Like, What's your favorite
I
part
hate
overall?
cardio.
Amen to that.
I mean, cardio to me, honestly, it's kind of like what I was saying about the food. Sometimes it's a means to an end. I know it's
Absolutely.
good for me as a nurse. I know it's good for your heart. It's good for, you know, your general health. And it's good for like cutting fat, right? But it's just not my thing. I just don't enjoy it that much.
I agree. And everybody's like, oh, runner's high. But like, I get like PR high. Like, I need to lift the max amount of weight.
Yeah, I will say if I have to choose, I do enjoy like an outdoor run way better than if I have to stay running on like a treadmill.
Right.
Going for a hike, I really do enjoy because I enjoy being outside. So that type of cardio I like. It's just the mundane, like get on the Stairmaster or walk on the treadmill or get on like an indoor bike. I love outdoor biking. Like that's really fun for me. So I do like certain types of cardio, but it's like fun cardio. I don't like the gym cardio.
Yeah, I see gym
but
cardio as
lifting
a
is where
chore.
it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah, lifting is where it's at. Like now that I've discovered lifting, I can't ever go back.
And I think
Like,
that's so funny.
So empowering.
Yeah, a lot of women start out doing cardio and then they find this love for the weights. And then they're like, oh, cardio, like, who is she? I hate her.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm in prep, so there's like a lot of like finesse that goes into making my training plan that my coach does. But in general, you really don't need a lot of cardio to look a certain way. And like most of the time, the way that most girls want to look based on like what, you know, certain society standards are right now, you really just need weightlifting.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't need a lot of cardio. You can do minimal cardio or even like no cardio because some of your weightlifting can be cardio too. Your heart rate gets up. I mean, if you're deadlifting really heavy, my heart rate gets up into like the 160s when I'm deadlifting. So.
Absolutely. And they think cardio and abs are going to get them toned. And I just want to shake their head so they understand. Just lift some heavy weights, girl.
I know. And don't be afraid of it because, like, I've literally never felt more girly or feminine. And it's like, but I look super toned compared to what I used to. And it's just, you know, being muscular is empowering as a woman, I think.
Absolutely.
Like having muscle and, like, being able to, like, you know, I can open my own jars. And getting, like, new PRs is just such a high, honestly. You're just like, I just did that. I literally just did that. And you're like, when you get to the point where you're blowing your own mind, it's just like, there's nothing like it, I think.
Yeah.
You're just like, I can't believe I did that.
Since you're in North Carolina and you have, like you said, access to the beach, you have access to the mountains, do you find yourself taking advantage of that and getting in some enjoyable outdoor exercise?
Yeah. This year is weird, honestly, though. I mean, COVID has just kind of put a damper on a lot of things this year. But yeah, previous years for sure, going to the beach, going to the mountains, going hiking. Like there's so many like even hiking trails close by to where I live. Yeah, it's just, and even in my own neighborhood, I like live like in a place like I could like walk and see horses. So it's just nice. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful state. It really is. And that's one of the things that I'm like mentally preparing myself to for after the show. Because there's got to be some sort of like, I don't know what to call it, but, you know, kind of like a down after the high, right? So you have this like high of like preparing for something so big and then you do it and then what, right? Like what comes next? So I'm already trying to line up things that I like want to like accomplish after because I don't want to have that feeling. And especially it's like going to be like in winter, right? Where you already feel a little bit of that like seasonal affective disorder where you're like, oh, it's dark and outside and cold. So I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm trying to think of like, okay, well, once I complete this goal, what's next? You know, I'm definitely mulling that in my brain.
The fact that you've already thought about that is, I think, a good step in like the accepting process of maybe I won't like this. And if I don't, you know, I'm kind of okay with that. It was more about, you know, the experience than anything. Yeah,
the personal development, honestly, like for me, that when I chose to do it, it was really about personal development and just, because at first I wasn't even sure if I was going to get on stage. I told my coach when she suggested it, I was like, I would like to do that because it sounds hard and challenging, but I don't know if I actually want to do the competition. I said, I want to do the training as if I was going to compete. And so then like halfway through it, I was like, just kidding. I really want to do the competition because it's like you put all this work.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course I want to like actually get through it. But I didn't know that at the time. But yeah, when I decided to do it, it was about being a better version of myself, or like trying to be the best version of myself, really. Changing my mindset about so many things, that just changing my mindset into like a more empowering mindset. Like, I can do these things. I am capable, you know. I am worthy of giving myself time to myself. You know, it's not selfish to take care of yourself. Like all these things that like, there's so much guilt around being a mom sometimes, that like you can't take care of yourself because you should be giving 100% to your family. And not that you shouldn't obviously give your kids love and affection and time, but you shouldn't forget that you're a person too, you know. And there's a lot of that, I think. And I think that's why, honestly, you can't pour from an empty cup. So fill your cup, you can fill everyone's cup.
And I think you teach a lot to your kids when you do something like this. Like, oh, was this hard? And was I maybe miserable? Yeah. Yes, but I pushed through for the end goal. So there's a good lesson for them to like look up to someone like you.
Yeah, I actually, that was one of the conversations I had with my coach. I said, I really feel like, you know, because I had gotten some just, you know, ignorant messages, I think, from people who just don't understand what I'm doing. And you're always going to have that, by the way. Like, anytime that you pursue a big goal or something that's just different, you're always going to have people who are going to be kind of naysayers, like they're not going to understand what you're doing. And one of the conversations I had with my coach was, I want to teach my kids that it's okay to dream big and set big goals, and that it's okay to go after things that are not easy, because that's what, you know, makes you grow as a person, and that you can do hard things if you set your mind to it and you're willing to work. You know, it doesn't happen by magic. Genetics has nothing to do with it. I mean, if I could show you guys like pictures of like, right, like after I had my baby, like my body looks completely different now, but it's all dedication, consistency, hard work. You know, it's not magic. It's hard work.
So you mentioned like the social media aspect of always getting feedback from people who know nothing about what you're going through and just want to impart their unsolicited opinion. Would you say that social media has a positive or a negative effect on the fitness and the health like industry?
I will tell you, for me personally, and I think because I'm maybe more a little bit older and mature now, it's been very positive in general. It's just that the fitness community on there is very supportive, and for the most part, obviously you have, you know, crazy people everywhere, but for the most part, for me, it's been just a really, really nice experience to get to know people who are kind of into the same goals and into the same things as what I am now. I think there is a lot of misinformation on social media from like influencers and stuff like that, you know, people who are promoting skinny teas, and, you know, they're just trying to make their money. That's kind of how I see it. You know, they're trying to get their paycheck. But if you're young and vulnerable to that kind of information, then yeah, I think that can be a negative thing. And also, you know, you just have to remember, people always will put their best side on social media.
Absolutely.
Like, nobody wants people to see the bad things in their life. And it honestly doesn't have to be. Like, you also don't want someone who's always like airing their dirty laundry, I think. Like there's certain things that are just not for social media. Like, go see a therapist. Like,
Right.
No, I 100%
I don't know.
agree.
I think there's certain things that you just have to take it with a grain of salt. When you see a post, when you see a certain angle, when someone looks a certain way, you have to remember there's so much that goes into that. The lighting, the posing, the hundreds of pictures that they probably took to get that one that they posted, right? So just take it with a grain of salt and be inspired, you know, by other people and their success, but don't let it define who you are, and don't let it define your own journey, because everybody is on their own path. Like, you can stay in your lane and still be inspired by other people. What you don't want is to play that comparison game, which is so prevalent, I think. Like, oh, well, they look a certain way and I should look that way. Or, oh, look how many followers they have or how much comments they get and likes on their pictures. Why don't I get that? I don't subscribe to that. I do my thing. I put my pictures. I interact with a ton of people, but because I enjoy it. Like, I really enjoy getting to know people. I'm a social person. I've always been that way. So I just feel like if the algorithm benefits me at one point, great. And if not, I'm still enjoying it. I love posting stuff. I love making stories. I love motivating people. I hope that I am, I just love hearing when people like will write me a message and say, oh, I was feeling really unmotivated and then I heard your story and I like really wanted to like, get up and get moving. And I'm like, that makes my day. Like, that's why I want to do it. So.
Absolutely. Would you say that social media and the people that you follow, before you decided you were going to compete, did you look at other competitors' posts and their Instagrams, and did you ever think like, oh, like do you see them like there's no way I could do that type of mindset, or was it like, oh, I could totally get there?
Yeah, so that's a thing that I talked to with my coach also in the beginning, because she was like, don't look too much at other competitors because a lot of them have competed before, and so their body responds differently than someone who's just doing their prep for the first time. And I said, honestly, Grace, that's her name, Grace. I said, honestly, Grace, I get inspired by other people, but I don't let it change how I feel about me. I mean, I feel like I'm on my own path because it's always just been, again, a personal development thing for me. I'm so much better than I used to be. And to me, that's a win. When I stand there in November, there's probably going to be girls that are way leaner, that have never had kids, that are younger than me, all these things. But that doesn't matter because for me, I'm going to stand there knowing that I did everything that I could to be the very, very best version of myself. I don't care if they look better or whatever, because it looks, honestly, the other thing is it's so subjective. Like right. One person is like, oh, they look better. Oh, no, you look better. Like it's so subjective. And I honestly think like personality and confidence goes a long way in things like that too. And I feel really confident. So I'm not worried about it. I think what I want to do is just focus on my own journey. And like I said, I look at other pictures just to kind of like see like, oh, I wonder if my body will do something similar to that. But if it doesn't, I don't think I'll be like really devastated. I think I'll just be like, oh, that's just, my body just does this instead,
Right. And I think you bring up a really good point that looks are so subjective. Someone could be the prettiest person in the world to one person and not so pretty to the next person. And in competing, you have different coaches or judges. And yes, they do have like guidelines they have to follow and stuff like that to judge you. But one day you could get judged great and the next day by the same person not get judged great, Yeah.
I totally agree. I think it's very subjective. It's very in the moment. It has a lot to do, honestly, with your posing too, like how well you can present what you made. Because you can have a great body, but if you don't know how to show it off, they're not going to get that. So I've been really like honing in on my posing because that's one thing that's like a weak point for me. I've never done it before.
Right. So. Yeah. I like watch the posing videos that some people will post, and I'm like, how do you get your body to do that? Like that is so amazing. It's so
unnatural feeling. I'm telling you, you have to like literally like everything has to be tight, and you have to smile.
So you're squeezing, moving, smiling.
It's so hard. You cannot relax. Like you cannot, because otherwise your gut will just like fall out, and you can't. You cannot relax. You have to like. Your booty has to be tight. Your abs have to be tight. Your arms, so you have to be in a certain angle to show off all your like muscle definition. Yeah, it's a lot of thinking, and you have to get to the point where you're like doing the posing and not thinking about it.
Autopilot.
Like you're just naturally moving. Yeah.
What would you say? So I know you said like, oh, what am I going to do after like this show is over? But what are your goals?
Okay. So honestly, I really want to hone in on what's next. What the next chapter is in my life. So my biggest goal right now, other than the show, of course, is to really kind of start taking a tangible step towards how fitness is going to fit in my next career move. I mean, I think as a nurse, there's so much that you can do. I want to incorporate some of my medical training into what's next. I just don't know yet.
So
I feel like I'm on the cusp of it, of like figuring it out. I just don't know. And also, I'm like sleep deprived and like hungry, so it's probably not the best time to be thinking. I definitely want to do something on my own. I've always wanted to do that, and now I feel like I'm feeling really confident to go ahead and just do it. But I also need a paycheck, so I don't think it's going to be one thing. Like, that's the thing with me. I like to have a variety. And so I think I'm going to find like a few different things that I want to do and kind of combine them all. I am trying to grow my Instagram. I know that's a long play, right? But I feel like that could lead to a lot of things too.
Right.
So it's one of those things that I post really consistently. I try to put things on there that are like either motivational or workouts or things like that people might enjoy. So yeah. Whoever listens to this podcast, come follow me.
There you go. There you go.
Do you want to give them your Instagram?
Yes, it's Latina Fit Diary.
We'll be sure to put that in the show notes so that they can
please
get it again.
Also, because I'm like posting all my updates for the show too. So if anyone is interested in following along with that, I'll be putting a lot of stuff for the show probably coming up soon. So. That's the thing. Honestly, it has to be fun too. I really believe that, like, whatever you decide to do with your life, you really have to make sure that it's fun too, because life is too short to be doing things that are, boring.
Right.
Exactly. And
Life
that you don't
is too short
enjoy.
to be boring.
And honestly, I kind of believe that if you don't enjoy what you're doing or something like is consistently stressing you out, you're shortening your like quality of life. We want to be living the best life our whole life. So just one little change.
Me, what it means to live your best life is to pursue the things that you're passionate about. Like, that's it. Because you never know. I always talk about this in my stories, just because being a nurse, it like reminds you that life is so fragile, You just never know. And your only guaranteed moment is this moment. And so if you don't make it count right now, like you can prepare for your future, but you can still enjoy your present moment.
Yeah.
So
absolutely agree.
Absolutely. And there's power in that. I really like that. Enjoying right now, like, this moment.
Yeah. Of course there's a really cheesy line, but it makes perfect sense. It's like, the present is a gift. That's why it's called the present,
Oh, I've never heard that. I absolutely love that. Wow. I needed that cheesiness today.
Yeah. I love it. I'm a sucker for a cheesy line. I'm not going to lie.
They're cheesy, but they're good. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
So nice to meet you guys. Thank you.
Yes, you too. We'll have to have
me.
you back on once you compete and once you figure out your next step.
Yes.
We'll have you back on.
Absolutely. I'll have to fill you in on all the crazy details. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
And that is the
end
podcast. Probably, but then potentially not.
So anyways, you can find us on Instagram if you choose to follow us. I mean, I think we're pretty positive people.
Yeah.
You can find me at Holly with 2 Y's Voles.
And you can find me on Instagrams at daniel.personaltraining. And don't forget, send us some topic ideas if you want to hear something, or, whatever it is. If you want to come on the show, send us a little message there, and we'll fill you in on the details and hook you up, schedule you in, and get you going.
Exactly. There's the more the merrier.
Go subscribe. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere else you get podcasts.
Like us, leave a review.
Leave a review, comment, rate us, review us. Catch us there. Peace.
Peace.